I never thought living with a roommate could turn my life upside down so completely. My name is Alex, and until recently, my life had been predictably normal. College, part-time job at the coffee shop, evenings spent quietly in my apartment scrolling through social media or playing games. I had my little routines, my comfort zones, and one secret I never shared with anyone: my fascination with crossdressing. It wasn't something I wore outside, not yet. It was a private thrill, a way to explore a side of myself that didn't fit the mold of Alex, the guy everyone knew. Enter Ryan, my new roommate. We hit it off instantly, a blend of camaraderie, humor, and teasing that promised a fun living situation. But Ryan had a mischievous streak, a sharp mind that could spot vulnerabilities, and an uncanny knack for pushing boundaries. That streak, I was about to find out, didn't stop at harmless pranks. It all started on a Friday evening. I had just returned from work, exhausted but looking forward to a quiet night. Ryan was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone with a grin that spelled trouble. "Hey, Alex," he called. "You ever wonder what it'd be like to step into someone else's shoes?" I raised an eyebrow, wary. "Depends. Whose shoes are we talking about?" "Literal shoes," he said, hopping off the couch. "And not just shoes, dresses, makeup, the whole deal." I froze. My heart skipped. Could he know? No, that was impossible. He hadn't seen me and my little experiments at home. I don't know what you mean," I mumbled, trying to keep my voice steady. Ryan's grin widened, mischievous and teasing. "Oh, come on.
Don't be shy.
You've got the secret side, right? The side you keep tucked away. I can help, or maybe force a little experimentation."
Force.
The word made my stomach twist. He wasn't asking, he was teasing, yes, but there was a challenge in his eyes. And I couldn't lie. A tiny, terrifying part of me was curious. What if he did see me like that? What if I embraced it, just for a week? That night, Ryan laid out his plan. 7 days.
A week.
Every day, you wear a dress I pick. Makeup, heels, the works. You're my control for a week. Accept and we see where this goes. Decline, and, well, you'll regret it. I laughed nervously. "You're insane." "Maybe," he said, shrugging, "but think about it. You want to explore that side of yourself anyway, right? Consider this guided experimentation, with supervision, and a lot of fun." I looked at him, weighing my options. Part of me screamed to say no, to protect my secret, my comfort zone, my normal life. But another part, the part that had always wondered what it would feel like to really step into my feminine side, flared with excitement. "Fine," I said, the words tasting foreign on my tongue. "A week. But you better not make me look ridiculous." Ryan's eyes sparkled. "Oh, trust me. You'll look amazing. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see a side of yourself you've been hiding." The following morning, I woke to a carefully laid-out outfit on my bed. A soft pastel dress, simple but elegant. A pair of matching heels, stockings neatly rolled. On the dresser, Ryan had left a set of makeup and a mirror with a sticky note. "Begin your transformation. Step into the shoes, literally." I hesitated at first. My hands trembled as I touched the dress, the silky fabric foreign, yet strangely inviting. The stockings felt soft, delicate against my skin. My reflection in the mirror showed a familiar face, but as I slipped into the dress and applied the makeup, it started to change. My jawline softened, my eyes seemed larger, my hair framed my face differently. The reflection staring back at me wasn't just Alex, it was Alex enhanced, feminized, a version I hadn't dared to embrace. Ryan appeared in the doorway, camera in hand, grinning. "Wow," he said, eyes gleaming with amusement and approval. "You look incredible. Ready to step outside?" I swallowed hard. Outside. In public. My heart raced, but there was no turning back. I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and walked toward the door, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor with every tentative step. The week that followed was a whirlwind of sensations, emotions, and discoveries. Every morning brought a new outfit, a new challenge, and a new layer of vulnerability. Ryan's instructions were meticulous, his teasing relentless, but also oddly supportive. I learned the sway of a dress, the rhythm of heels, the art of subtle makeup that transformed my face without erasing who I was underneath. And yet, the tension never fully lifted. Every sound outside the apartment, every knock, every unexpected visitor kept me on edge. Would someone recognize me? Would my secret life be exposed? The thrill of being caught, or nearly caught, mixed with the exhilaration of seeing myself in a new light. Through it all, I began to confront my own insecurities and desires. The person in the mirror wasn't a lie, it was a part of me I had hidden, a side I had been too afraid to explore. And Ryan, in his unpredictable, challenging way, had pushed me to confront it. By the end of the first day, I was exhausted but exhilarated. My reflection in the mirror seemed to smirk knowingly at me, whispering of the week to come, of lessons to be learned, of transformations yet to unfold. I realized then that this week wasn't just about dresses or makeup. It was about discovery, challenge, and the delicate thrill of stepping fully into an unknown version of myself. Little did I know, the week would test me far beyond the confines of our apartment. Every outing, every interaction, every glance in a mirror would become a high-stakes game of secrecy, identity, and control. And through it all, I would learn just how far I could go, and how deeply I could embrace a side of myself I never thought I could show to the world. The journey had begun, and as I looked at the pastel dress hanging neatly for the next day, heels ready, makeup perfectly arranged, I realized one thing. I was no longer just Alex. I was something more, something that only this week could reveal. The second day arrived faster than I expected. I woke to sunlight spilling across the room, the pastel dress from yesterday neatly folded on the chair with a new outfit on top, a sleek, knee-length floral dress in soft pinks and blues, with matching heels and delicate stockings. Beside it, Ryan had left another note. Day 2. Confidence and poise. You've got this. I stared at the dress, feeling a strange mix of anticipation and dread. A week seemed long, and yet, with every morning that passed, I felt the invisible walls around my comfort zone cracking. My hands shook slightly as I picked up the fabric. This wasn't just clothing. It was a key, a gateway to something I'd never dared to explore fully. Ryan's instructions had become increasingly detailed. He didn't just want me to put on dresses. He wanted me to become them.
Every movement mattered.
How I walked, how I sat, how I held my hands. He even gave me a small guide on posture, emphasizing the sway of the hips, the angle of the shoulders. At first, it felt ridiculous. But as I practiced in front of the mirror, I noticed subtle changes, not just in how I looked, but in how I felt. When I emerged in the new outfit, Ryan's grin made my stomach flip.
Wow, he said.
You're learning fast. But today's challenge is about movement. Can you walk around the apartment like that? Confident, natural, like it's you? I nodded, trying to steady my voice. I'll try. The first steps were awkward. My heels clicked loudly against the hardwood, a sound that seemed impossibly loud in the quiet apartment. I stumbled once, my ankle wobbling in the unfamiliar shoes. Ryan chuckled but didn't mock me. Instead, he offered small tips. Relax your knees, think of the floor as soft, let your arms sway gently. By the end of the hour, I was moving more naturally, though every click of my heels reminded me of my vulnerability. Alone in my apartment, I felt both exposed and liberated. The mirror reflected someone unfamiliar yet compelling. Alex, yes, but also something more delicate, poised, undeniably feminine. Internal conflict churned beneath the surface. Part of me loved the transformation, the thrill of wearing the dresses, the sensation of stockings against my skin, the elegance I felt when I moved with care. Yet another part screamed in panic. What if someone sees? What if Emma finds out? The fear of exposure was sharp, a constant pulse that made the experience more intense, more addictive. Ryan noticed my hesitation. The thrill is part of it, he said, almost reading my mind. A little fear makes the freedom sweeter. You'll get used to it, or you'll hate me. Either way, you'll learn something about yourself. That afternoon, I ventured into the living room to practice makeup application. Ryan had left me a collection of brushes, eyeshadows, blushes, and lipsticks, each labeled with tiny notes about technique. At first, my attempts were clumsy. Eyeshadow smeared, eyeliner wobbled, and lipstick smudged beyond the lip line. "Stop," Ryan said, suddenly behind me. "Let me show you a trick." His hands guided mine gently, showing me how to apply each stroke. The physical closeness made my heart race, but I could feel myself learning. Every brushstroke, every contour, added layers not just to my appearance, but to my confidence. By the end of the session, I barely recognized the reflection in the mirror. My face was softer, my eyes brighter, my features reshaped into a version of me I hadn't dared to show. Over the next few days, Ryan introduced increasingly bold outfits: a short, flowy dress with frills that brushed my thighs, a fitted dress that hugged my chest and hips, and a deep V-neck that accentuated my shoulders. Each outfit brought new sensations and challenges, balancing in higher heels, mastering graceful gestures, maintaining a sense of poise. Every moment alone in the apartment became a mix of exhilaration and tension. The dresses and stockings were no longer just clothing. They were tools of transformation, symbols of the dual life I was beginning to live. I caught myself checking the mirror obsessively, adjusting the hem of a dress, smoothing a wrinkle, tugging a strand of hair into place. I was learning the subtle art of femininity, the way a tilt of the head or a step forward could change everything. And then came the real test: venturing outside. Ryan insisted I walk to the corner store, dressed fully, heels clicking against the pavement. My pulse raced as I opened the door. The street was quiet, but each glance from passers-by felt magnified. Could they tell? Did they notice the way I carried myself, the soft sway of my hips, the painted lips and lined eyes? I kept my head down at first, shuffling awkwardly. But as I walked, something shifted. My confidence grew, small at first, then stronger. The fear didn't vanish, but it merged with exhilaration. I realized I liked the attention, the subtle glances, the thrill of being seen in a way I had never experienced. Back at the apartment, Ryan was waiting, his camera poised. "Not bad," he said, reviewing the footage. "You're getting better. Faster. More confident. But tomorrow we push boundaries even further." The suspense wasn't just external. Every day, I was walking a tightrope between pleasure and fear, self-discovery and vulnerability. Each outfit, each makeup session, each outing added layers of complexity to my identity. I was no longer simply Alex hiding a secret. I was Alex transformed, Alex revealed, a person straddling two worlds at once. By the fourth day, the physical transformation was nearly complete, but the emotional stakes escalated. I found myself anticipating Ryan's instructions, worrying about the next outfit, the next challenge. Every mirror glance became a moment of tension, every step in heels a test of balance and composure. I felt exposed, yet exhilarated, terrified, yet alive. Internal conflict peaked. I was discovering a version of myself I had long suppressed, and yet, the fear of discovery haunted me constantly. What would Emma think if she saw me like this? Would my friends, my colleagues, anyone in my life accept this side of me? Or was I crossing a line I could never return from? Ryan noticed the turmoil. "You're changing, Alex," he said softly one evening. "Not just your look, your confidence, your self-awareness. You're becoming someone more complete. But remember, the thrill comes with risk. That's part of the fun." By the fifth day, I was more confident, moving with a fluidity that surprised me. But Ryan had one last challenge in store: a full evening out, dressed completely, makeup and heels perfected, where I would interact with the world fully as this transformed version of myself. The anticipation was unbearable. I felt the dresses clinging to my skin, the stockings soft and delicate, the heels firm beneath my feet. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, the thrill of fear and excitement intertwining. This was more than a week of experimentation. It was a journey into a side of myself I had never allowed to emerge. As I stood before the mirror, Adjusting a strand of hair, smoothing a wrinkle in my dress, I realized something profound. I was learning to own this version of me, to embrace the thrill, the vulnerability, and the exhilaration that came with it. And yet, the suspense was far from over. Every step outside, every glance from a stranger, every unexpected sound in the apartment reminded me that this world, this version of myself, was fragile, exhilarating, and intoxicating all at once. The week wasn't just about dresses or makeup anymore. It was about identity, courage, and the delicate tension of living between two selves. And as the 5th day drew to a close, I knew the real challenge was yet to come, the night where every lesson, every fear, every thrill would collide in ways I could never have anticipated. The evening of the final day arrived, heavy with anticipation. Ryan had planned something extraordinary. He called it the ultimate test. I didn't know what to expect, only that I would leave the apartment fully dressed, fully made up, and fully exposed to the world in a way I hadn't been before. I stood before the mirror, adjusting the last strand of my curled hair, tugging at the hem of my tight red dress, and flexing my calves in the strappy heels Ryan had insisted I wear. The reflection staring back was someone completely different from the shy, hesitant Alex who had first stepped into a dress days ago. Confidence radiated from my posture, from the way I held my head high. And yet, beneath the poise, my heart hammered with nervous tension. Ryan entered, holding a camera and a small bag. "Tonight's challenge is simple," he said, though his eyes sparkled with mischief. "You're going out, fully dressed. You'll navigate a restaurant, interact with strangers, and then we'll see how well you handle unexpected situations." My stomach twisted. Strangers? A restaurant? My pulse accelerated. This was more than a practice walk down the street, it was real exposure, and the stakes felt impossibly high. "Don't worry," Ryan continued, sensing my hesitation. "The goal isn't perfection. It's confidence, composure, and the thrill of being seen as who you've become. You can do this." I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside me. The thrill of anticipation mingled with fear, each heartbeat amplifying the tension. Sliding my arms into the sleeves of the dress, fastening the delicate clasp, and adjusting the straps of my heels, I felt every inch of my body tuned to alertness. This wasn't just physical transformation, it was emotional, psychological, and terrifyingly exhilarating. When we arrived at the restaurant, the world felt impossibly bright. The lights reflected off my stockings and heels, the air smelled of food and perfume, and every movement drew the gaze of strangers. I felt their eyes on me, curious, admiring, maybe even judging, but I forced myself to keep walking with the grace Ryan had drilled into me. The first challenge was simple, ordering a drink at the bar. My hands trembled slightly as I reached for the menu, and my voice wavered when I spoke. I'll have a Chardonnay, please." The bartender smiled politely, unaware of the storm of anxiety and exhilaration within me. I smiled back, a practiced curve of the lips that hid the rapid beating of my heart. Ryan filmed discreetly, capturing every stumble, every glance, every subtle gesture that revealed the transformation. I felt both exposed and empowered. Each step I took, each interaction, amplified the duality of my experience, the thrill of becoming feminine and the tension of potentially being discovered. Dinner was tense. I navigated the crowded restaurant, balancing plates and glasses, smiling at waiters, responding to casual conversation from nearby patrons, all while maintaining poise. My body had learned the gestures, but my mind raced with constant self-awareness. Every tilt of the head, every shift of the dress, every glance in passing mirrors reminded me of my precarious position. Then came the first real obstacle. A group of friends at a nearby table started a conversation with me, drawn perhaps by my heels or the confident sway of my hips. They asked questions, light, casual, innocuous, but my answers felt amplified, scrutinized. Each word, each laugh, felt like a test. One misstep, one faltering tone, and the illusion could shatter. I navigated the interaction carefully, masking trembling fingers with poised gestures, hiding my internal panic behind a practiced smile. Ryan's camera caught every moment, his occasional whispers guiding me subtly. Relax your shoulders, tilt your chin slightly, breathe. Just as I began to feel the tension ease, the unexpected happened. A friend of Emma's walked into the restaurant. My heart leapt into my throat. If she recognized me, if she connected the dots, the secret I had hidden for days could unravel in an instant. Ryan whispered, "Stay calm. Just keep moving." I froze for a second, every muscle tense, before continuing. My mind raced through possibilities. What if she recognized me? What if she mentioned it to Emma? My pulse pounded in my ears as I kept my composure, managing a casual smile, a subtle nod, a careful avoidance of eye contact. The night escalated further when a sudden gust of wind from the open door caught the hem of my dress, lifting it slightly. My stockings brushed against the edges of the table as I bent to adjust it, heart pounding with embarrassment. I could feel the heat rising to my cheeks, yet I had to maintain the persona Ryan had coached me to embody. The symbolic moment hit when I glanced into a mirror near the bar. The reflection staring back wasn't just Alex, it was Alex fully transformed. Every detail of my dress, makeup, hair, and posture combined to create a version of me I had never dared to show anyone. And yet, beneath the surface, the anxiety persisted. One misstep, one slip of the wig, one uneven stocking, and the illusion would shatter completely. As the evening drew on, Ryan introduced another twist, a spontaneous dance challenge at the restaurant's small stage area. I hesitated, aware of the eyes on me, aware of the risk, aware of my vulnerability. But Ryan's encouraging words pushed me forward. The first step onto the floor was terrifying. The heels made every movement precarious. But as the music played, I began to move, guided by instinct and Ryan's coaching. Each step, each spin, each sway of the hips reinforced the feminine persona I had built, blending exhilaration and fear into a single electric sensation. Then came the final twist, a sudden emergency in the restaurant. A server dropped a tray of glasses, shattering on the floor. The clatter drew attention, forcing me to navigate around the chaos while maintaining grace and composure. Every step felt critical. A misstep could topple my heels or expose me further. My heart raced, adrenaline surged, and I realized I had never been this fully alive, this acutely aware of every fiber of my being. By the end of the night, I was exhausted yet elated. I had faced exposure, fear, and unexpected obstacles. I had walked, danced, and interacted fully as the transformed version of myself, and survived. But the climax wasn't just about endurance, it was about transformation. I had discovered a side of myself that was bold, feminine, confident, and capable of navigating the world in ways I had never imagined. Returning to the apartment, I collapsed into the couch, heels discarded, stockings rolled down, dress wrinkled but beautiful. Ryan grinned, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "You did it."
Completely.
"You faced fear, exposure, and unexpected challenges, and you came out stronger." That's the point. Transformation isn't just about clothes, it's about discovering who you really are. And yet, even in the triumph, uncertainty lingered. Emma would see me eventually. Friends might notice. Society might judge. The thrill of the week, the lessons of the dresses and stockings, came with a weight. The world outside would not always be forgiving, and the duality of my life remained precarious. I realized that the climax wasn't just an event, it was a revelation. I had become a person capable of inhabiting two worlds at once, balancing fear and confidence, vulnerability and strength, secrecy and exposure. The week had changed me profoundly, and as I looked into the mirror one last time that night, I saw Alex, not just a roommate's challenge, not just a secret experiment, but someone transformed, ready to face whatever came next. But the suspense remained. Who would see? What consequences awaited? And could I maintain this newfound identity in a world that might not accept it? The answers were uncertain, and the tension unresolved. By the time I returned to our apartment, the adrenaline of the night still thrummed through me. My heels clicked softly against the hardwood floor, the sound echoing in the quiet rooms. I moved cautiously, mindful of every sway of my hips, every crease in my dress. Ryan had gone to check on something in the other room, leaving me alone to unwind, or so I thought. I dropped my bag and sank onto the couch, heart still racing. My stockings were slightly wrinkled, my dress had smudges of makeup from the restaurant mirrors, and my hair had lost some of its earlier perfection. Yet despite the minor imperfections, I couldn't deny the exhilaration. I had done it. I had faced the world fully as the transformed version of myself, and survived. But then a sound from the hallway froze me. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. I froze, every nerve on edge. The apartment door clicked open, and I recognized the faint scent of Emma's perfume before she even stepped inside. My stomach twisted. She wasn't supposed to be home yet. I glanced at the mirror across the room and felt my reflection stab me with reality. There I was, stockings still on, heels dangling from my fingers, hair slightly mussed, and dress clingy from the day's movements. Emma hadn't seen me like this before. "Alex," her voice called from the hallway, casual but curious. My heart slammed against my ribs. I scrambled to my feet, fumbling to toss my heels aside and smooth the dress over my body. My fingers trembled as I tugged at the hem, desperately trying to look normal. "Just me," I croaked, forcing a casual tone that sounded far too high-pitched to be convincing. I dropped something in the living room." Her footsteps drew nearer. I could hear them, each one deliberate, echoing through the apartment like a countdown. My mind raced. Should I explain? Should I hide? Or should I pretend nothing was different? Every option felt like a trap. Emma stepped into the room, and for a split second, I froze completely. Her eyes widened slightly, just enough for me to notice. She tilted her head, a curious smile tugging at her lips. "You changed something?" she asked lightly, though the curiosity in her gaze was sharp. I forced a smile, laughing nervously. Maybe? Just experimenting. Nothing big." My voice sounded alien to my own ears, too soft, too feminine, too revealing. Emma's gaze flicked to my stockings, then my dangling heels, then the slight crease of the dress around my thighs. I felt my face heat, my pulse hammering as the truth pressed closer. One misstep, one lingering glance, and she would know everything. Ryan appeared behind me, camera discreetly in hand, trying to keep a neutral expression. He whispered, barely audible, "Stay calm. You've got this. Just play it off." Emma's smile lingered, but I could see the gears turning in her mind. The playful teasing from days ago was replaced by a sharp curiosity. She took a step closer, tilting her head, eyes scanning me from head to toe, lingering on my hair, my stockings, my posture. My stomach sank. I realized she wasn't just noticing the surface changes, she was analyzing them, trying to decipher the truth. Every muscle in my body tensed. Then, before I could speak, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her attention momentarily diverted. I exhaled, relief washing over me, but it was fleeting. The moment had only paused, not ended. As she walked toward the couch to set her phone down, her gaze returned to me, sharper than before. "You're different," she said softly, almost to herself. I can't tell if it's just the dress or something more. I froze, my mind spinning. Every instinct screamed at me to explain, to lie, to run. My secret, painstakingly guarded, was dangling by a thread. Ryan gave me a subtle nudge and whispered, "Remember the week. You've already survived bigger challenges. Just stay composed." I nodded imperceptibly, my heart pounding. The thrill of the past week's transformations collided with the fear of exposure, creating a storm of anticipation and dread. Emma moved closer, her eyes never leaving mine, and the weight of her attention pressed on me like a physical force. My lips parted, ready to speak, but no words came. I could feel the truth threatening to spill out, and with it, the secret that had defined my entire week. And then, the doorbell rang. The sound cut through the tension like a knife, and Emma's head snapped toward the entrance. I felt my pulse spike, my stomach drop. Who could it be? A neighbor? A delivery? Or someone who would finally unravel everything? Emma glanced at me, eyes narrowing slightly. "I'll get it," she said, but the hesitation in her voice betrayed her curiosity. I swallowed hard, caught between fear and the lingering thrill of my transformation. My body was still in heels, stockings, and a dress. My secret was at the brink of being discovered, and the suspense was unbearable. As Emma opened the door, I caught a glimpse of a shadowed figure on the other side. My breath caught. The figure paused, just enough for me to see, could they recognize me? Could this be the moment where my dual life collided with reality? I froze, every instinct screaming that the world outside this apartment could change everything. And then, Ryan whispered softly behind me, "Whatever happens next, this is the moment that defines you." The screen of possibility hung heavy, unresolved. Would I be exposed? Would Emma discover the truth? Or would my secret remain safe, at least for now? The answer was uncertain. The night, the suspense, the duality of my life, it all balanced on a knife's edge. The camera lingered on my reflection in the mirror, capturing the tension, the fear, the thrill, and the transformation. And then,